Over yonder across the mighty Ohio River is the town of Vevay, Indiana. Vevay is a very historic river town that I have made videos on in the past, but it's time for an update as there's a lot happening there as of the summer of 2022. I'm currently viewing across the river in Ghent, Kentucky. There used to be a ferry that operated between the two towns. That's the Ulysses P. Schenck Mansion. He was the original Hay King of Vevay. In the mid-19th century, hay production and exporting was a very major industry around Vevay. I am now in downtown Vevay, Indiana, and I'm going to take a walk around to find goats. This is the wonderful Greek Revival Switzerland County Courthouse, built in 1864. Across the street is the first of many Fred the Goats. There is goat mania here in Vevay. People in town have been painting and decorating these little goat statues, and they are everywhere now. These are inspired by an old goat that lived on a hill behind Vevay named Fred. He passed away many years ago, but now the town has completely embraced his legendary status and celebrates him with well over 50 goat statues scattered around town. I did explore more of the history behind Fred the Goat and the original goat statues in a previous video, but most of these goats I'm showing are new, created in the past year. There was some vandalism of the goat statues a while back, and some really special ones got ruined, but far more goats have taken their places, and hopefully the goat vandalism has ceased. Here's the Farmhouse Bakery, which is new. There is of course a goat outside. Across the street is the Old Phoenix Hotel, now home to the Visitor Center, where they recently placed this big Vevay sign, where visitors can pose as the Y. This is Vincent van Gogh. He's based on Starry Night. Inside, alongside this old wine press, there are lots of paintings of Fred the Goat. These were recently part of a Fred the Goat art contest. This is the town's main intersection, with goats on each corner. This is yet another Starry Vincent van Gogh. There are probably more businesses with goats than without, and that's a good thing. Here's a new Mexican restaurant called Tequila's. Of course, there is a goat outside. This one has candies plastered to the base. That building is now home to a new bar called Roxy's. There is a gilded goat outside, though he's missing a horn. Right next to the former Danner's Hardware is Vevay Vintage, which has a neat Swiss mural depicting a guy playing the Alp horn. Over here is the post office with a postal goat. That is the town hall, which was a Carnegie library. Gilbert Grape the Goat is outside, advertising the Swiss Wine Festival. This is Roxano's, my favorite restaurant in town. The breadsticks here are outstanding. I would venture to say probably the best in the entire world. And I also got a calzone, which was really good. If you ever visit Vevay, definitely eat at Roxano's. This is the historic Hoosier Theater, built in 1837. However, it wasn't originally a theater. It served a variety of functions until 1926, when it was turned into a movie theater. Then it closed in 1955, largely sat abandoned for 30 years, and then was restored as an old-fashioned community theater. There is a theater actor, Fred the Goat, outside, and the Hoosier Theater is on the National Register of Historic Places. Here's what the theater looks like on the inside. I did actually see a show here while in town. The Ladies of Liberty, who sing patriotic music and other music from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, kinda like the Andrews Sisters. They were great, but no filming was allowed. There's the old movie theater projector, along with an old photo of the theater with its mural. On the side of the theater, there used to be an incredible mural depicting Vevay's heyday, literally because they produced a lot of hay. Sadly, that mural got removed many years ago. Here's one of the town's historic fire bells. Dream Woodworks may have my new favorite goat. That one is hilarious. Well done. To me, this is the most exciting development in Vevay. 3 buildings here along Main Street are being converted into an auto museum. A man with connections to the Indy 500 and racing industry has bought the buildings and is moving his sizable collection here. I believe it will be called the Racing Performance Museum, so it'll probably have a few race cars, but it also looks like they have a variety of antique autos as well. There is a Texaco goat. This museum is expected to open in the fall of 2022, along with a special exhibition curated by the Smithsonian, so I am going to try to visit when it opens. There are goats on the outskirts of town as well, even at the local IGA. There's one outside the meat market showing the various cuts of meat on the goat. And outside the YMCA, there is yet another goat. Up here on the hill above Vevay is the official Fred the Goat Memorial. This goat marks the real Fred's favorite lookout points. He lived in an abandoned house right by here and would often be seen standing here overlooking the Ohio River Valley. That is Fred's abandoned house. The path to it was extremely overgrown, so I didn't try it this time, but I have explored that house and also visited Fred's nearby grave in my original Fred the Goat video, which is linked in the description. This is the Shank Mansion, a stunning 1874 Italianate mansion that I did get to go into a long time ago. It's really cool. This was operated as a bed and breakfast until recently. It was purchased by reality TV tattoo artist Kat Von D, who apparently lives there in that big haunted mansion full time. I'm now stopping off at the Thiebaud Farmstead for Heyday. The Thiebauds, hope I'm pronouncing that right, emigrated to Switzerland County, Indiana from Switzerland in 1817 and settled on this land. This great Greek revival home was built in the 1850s by the second generation of Thiebauds, Justy and Mary, who produced and baled hay at this farm throughout the mid-19th century. They used a hay press to produce hay bales, and today they are demonstrating an authentic hay press, so we'll see that soon. But first, let's take a look in the restored Thiebaud home. The home is filled with period furnishings. There is a special guest today. Harriet Beecher Stowe, the author of Uncle Tom's Cabin, has come to visit the home.
I couldn't possibly be familiar with such things, and growing up far away in Connecticut and living in Maine and Massachusetts, how could I be familiar with these things firsthand? But most people don't realize that I spent 18 years living in Cincinnati, which is just up the river from here in Vevay.
Right.
And many of the things in the book and many of the stories that I've come to tell this weekend are stories that are part of my own experience living in Walnut Hills. One of the stories that I think is the most striking image often drawn from the tales in the book, but is also the one most frequently told as fantastical and couldn't possibly be a thing that really happened, is the flight of Eliza across the Ohio River. We have Levi Coffin, who many people are familiar with him here in Cincinnati. He lived in here in Indiana. He lived in Cincinnati for a while, and his oldest son attended the Lane Theological Seminary. That is what brought me to Cincinnati. A 21-year-old version of myself accompanied my father to Cincinnati. He came to be the first president of the institution. And my husband, Calvin Stowe, at the time, not my husband yet, but Calvin was a teacher at the seminary, and one of their students was the oldest son of Levi Coffin. And so he came to dinner with us, as one does, have dinner with your professors, and on occasion, he brought his father one time. And at dinner, his son exhorted his father, "Dad, you must tell him the story. You must tell him the story that you just told me." And at first he was reluctant to do so because he reminded his son, he was a bit admonished, that his tales are secret on purpose. The kind of tales he tells are to keep people safe as they're escaping to freedom. But he was convinced that we were a safe place to tell these stories. And he told us the story of a young woman who had escaped across the Ohio, clutching a small child and being helped up the river by one of his neighbors. And the neighbor brought this woman to him, Coffin's house, because he knew they were a safe place. It was well known that they are a safe place to bring people who are trying to get to freedom.
Upstairs there are 2 bedrooms. This bedroom has a rope bed alongside a poster bed. There are women using the spinning wheels. Here's the kitchen where period food is being prepared. This is a really interesting historic home, and it is receiving a new honor today. The Indiana Historical Bureau is revealing a brand new historical marker for the Thiebaud Farmstead. It's covered up right now before the reveal.
And in other ways, this story is really unique. Not too many other places can trace their roots all the way back to the very start of the 19th century to French-speaking Swiss ancestors. And again, this adds richness and diversity to our history.
Can we open it?
I don't know, that's why I'm having you do it.
There.
Yay!
Yay!
So there's a new historical marker. Hopefully more people passing by will be stopping to read the marker and take a look around the farm now. The marker talks about how the Thiebauds came with other Swiss immigrants because there was already a group of them trying to start viticulture here in Switzerland County, Indiana, but that didn't work out in the end. So the local economy switched to hay production, and the Thiebauds followed suit on this farm, and it emphasizes how important hay was back then. And this is the hay press barn, similar to the one that was here on the Thiebaud farm. However, this one was relocated from somewhere else in the county and reconstructed around its historic Mormon hay press. This specific version of the hay press was invented by Samuel Hewitt here in Switzerland County, and there were once over 200 of these in the county. The hay press is about 3 stories tall. It is comprised of a pulley system rotated by a horse or mule on the bottom that turns the iron screw that pulls the pressing block up so it can be dropped down to press the hay, eventually producing hay bales. This press and barn took a lot of work to relocate and restore, so this is a really special and unique artifact, and it's great to see in action.
So that rope goes all the way down, and then it winds around
the wheel. That's where the mechanical advantage comes from. Where there's two pulleys, there's that wheel and then the one down below. Fill it up, and then drop it.
Yeah, mercy.
Wow.
They aren't kidding about dropping that.
So it's dropped, and now that the whole process starts right over, and that can happen simultaneously. So this is the counterweight right here. So the cork's in there. Door opening. All right, good.
Everybody says that.
So definitely come out to Heydays here at the Thiebaud Farmstead. It's a great event. Anyways, that's what's new in Vevay, Indiana during the summer of 2022. I'm glad to see some new stuff opening in town. If you enjoyed this video, then please like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Also take a look at my other videos on historic sites, roadside attractions, museums, national parks, and more, including my other videos on the history of Vevay, Indiana. And thanks for watching.